Hey there, superstar. I am here with my friend and colleague, Phil M. Jones, keynote speaker, internationally known, written a book, Exactly What to Say, which has sold 1.4 million copies. Right now, we're going to talk about how to resolve conflict more effectively. Well, and I think in the world of conflict resolution, you mentioned earlier, so much of it is about it being entrenched in the old paradigm, let's say, entrenched in our position.
Yep.
And I need to be right. That means you have to be wrong. And I'm going to defend my position.
Yep.
You're going to defend yours. And then we're just defending our positions. But when one person, it only takes one person to shift this dynamic,
Yep.
leans in and says, help me understand
Right.
your position. I just did this yesterday without having this exact framework. I was with a client who was struggling, and I basically just leaned in and said, tell me, bring me into your world. Give me the whole universe of what's happening. Right? And then the client opened up. It ultimately was a conversation because the client didn't think that she could keep going with our coaching.
So let's just look at this as a very quick example.
Okay.
Is if I look to you watching this video right now, tell me what you see. Tell us what you see in the comments. And chances are you're going to say a book. You might even be smart enough to be able to name the book. But Michelle, what do you see?
I see a set of earphones.
Right? so here, right, are a set of Apple AirPods. And who's right in that scenario?
Right, we all are.
The fact is that we're both right. So
Yeah.
if you can't get to a position of empathy where you can both see things from a new perspective, what you don't have is the ability to be able to actually build a new normal, a new plan forward. Because
Right.
what happens is we stay in argument that you are saying it's a book,
And I'm
Michelle's saying it's AirPods, you idiot, and you're saying it's a book, and you're saying it's AirPods, and we both think the other person is stupid.
Right.
Right? That's what ends up happening. You have to shift the vantage.
Right.
And playing in that empathetic space for long enough, you should be able to decide and see for yourselves that there is a new outcome for this.
Yeah.
We give birth to a new potential solution. Not the solution that I started with, not the solution that you started with, but a completely different solution. Why? Because we understand the problem better.
Yeah.
And people want to sell solutions, whereas what we should be better at doing, particularly in conflict, is proving that we understand the problem.
Yeah.
Because often we're trying to say, here's what you should do, but we
Right.
don't actually understand the problem we're trying to solve.
Right. And the problem that they see.
Correct.
Which may be completely different than your problem. Like my client the other day, the problem that she saw was, I can't afford this.
Right.
And the problem I saw is, well, you're not making sales.
Right.
Right?
And it could even be that you don't see my value. And
Right,
then that could create
true.
conflict, right? It could be, she's saying she can't afford it, and you're saying, well, you don't see my value. And we stay there forever.
Right.
You're justifying it because I've done this forever and a day. Could be a
Right.
way you go. She's still looking at her bank balance, says, I've got no freaking money.
Yeah.
We stay in that place for a long time.
Right. And luckily, I mean, we were able to find that third possibility.
Right.
Because I was being curious and I was very empathetic because I've been where she is.
You got it.
I've had that situation, but if I hadn't and I'd gotten stuck in my perspective and she and hers, we never would have
Right.
bust through and found a solution that one day later she's already like, oh, I'm in action again. I got this. This
Yeah.
is working.
And what happens when you stay in this place for long enough, you reach a really important position. See, my guess is that you have people in your life that could ask you to do something reasonable, that when they ask you to do something reasonable, you're like, yeah, sure, no worries. And then you have other people in your life that could ask you to do the exact same thing, right?
Yeah.
And then when they asked you, you'd be like, me? Like now, this weekend? Like all this friction comes up where
Yeah.
you want to bat the thing off.
Totally.
The difference between those two scenarios or those two people is trust. It's that you trust that they had your best interest in mind.
Yeah.
You trust that they understood your context. If you want to have more trusted conversations, start curious, get to a position of empathy. And now you should be in a position to be able to activate courage. And when I'm talking about courage, I'm not talking about like jump out of an aeroplane courage, climb a mountain courage, go to war courage. A different type of courage. Just the courage to ask. We know that if you do not ask, you do not get. We know that to be true. Yet we're so fearful of making asks because of fear of being pushy or obnoxious, etc. When if you start curious, you reach a position of empathy. The empathy makes you relatable. It means you hit the show me, you know me button inside the head. And then the courage to just ask for the next action is natural.
Yeah.
And you should have a level of confidence, right? I'm a married man, and I know I had to make a big ask at some point in my life of being able to ask my wife to marry me.
Yeah.
That wasn't really a big ask. If I'm to think about that precise big ask,
Right.
what was my level of certainty
Yeah.
that the response I was going to get was the response I wanted to get? Like I wasn't like shooting with a 50-50 odds on this, right?
I can't imagine you ever approaching something with those kind of odds.
No, I want like 99.9
Yeah.
with a little bit of anxiety because I want the thing so much. But that's how you get to be able to make big, bold asks without them feeling like big, bold asks. They just feel like the natural next step.
Next thing.
If you're prepared to do the work in curiosity
And
and empathy, because curiosity gives you context, empathy makes you relatable, courage drives action. And if it's done in that order, you'll create change, you'll avoid conflict. And it's less about just avoiding conflict, it's about making magic happen and taking the responsibility of leadership that you can steer that magic, you can achieve the outcome, because the job is to get the right result, not to be right.
That is so good. That's a great point to end on. I love it, Phil. All right, everybody. I know that this was valuable for you because it was valuable for me. And so I've asked Phil, what is the best next thing to send you to? What offering does he have for you? And this is what we got.
Yeah, we got plenty of things that you can plug into. First thing is stop by exactlywhattosay.com. You'll see dozens of articles, videos, trainings from either me or our certified guides about topics like overcoming indecision, overcoming conflict, resolving difficult conversations in a variety of scenarios from people way smarter than me. So you should stop by that. And if you want to get better at this stuff for yourself, you might want to take our free 31-day challenge, and we'll post some links to where you can be able to plug into that as well, where you'll get an email every single day for 31 days inviting you to take an action to utilize a more intentional set of words to achieve a better outcome for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil.
So we're all born with this innate ability to ask. What happens though as we go through our adult life is we've kind of got echoes of things like it's rude to ask, or I want doesn't get, or we just live in this fear of some form of rejection.